I think a suicide death is so different to, this is one of the differences to other deaths, is that the conversation tends to stop very early on. People don't want to talk about your loved one. And the great thing about a support group is that you can talk about your loved one.
And not feel embarrassed or ashamed or guilty.
The stigma of
Yeah.
the S word.
And people need the opportunity when they come often up against some horrendous sort of ideas and stigmas around suicide, an opportunity to come and talk about that, don't they? What that is really like for them.
You know, a lot of people have already made that judgment on them and said, oh, they shouldn't have done that, and blah, blah, blah. But we've got to give mana back to them because they're our babies and they lived and they were loved. And so we celebrate their life.
Yes, yeah. That's the hope that I think we bring as facilitators of a group, you know, that while it might seem, you know, people might express that they can't see how they could ever possibly feel joy ever again, that we kind of hold that hope that yes, you know, that there is life to come, that there is joy to come.
I think for me that facilitating is a learning experience as we're going. It evolves. And I think it's important that not to beat yourself up over when something doesn't quite go right, because we're never going to get it all right.
Yeah.
But that, what you talked about, that listening, that active listening, incredibly important part of what we do.
And I think kind of adding into that is kind of compassion for people, but also, as you say, compassion for myself. You know, that idea that I'm not always going to get this right, but if I'm continuing to ask people about what they need and to listen well to their stories, and then I have found the introduction time really very important for people to actually be able to say the words, this is why I'm here. I'm here because this person has died. For some people, to sit in a room with others who are saying that, they're thinking, oh my goodness, this is not something that I'm saying outside. This is not something that I've said before. I'm here because my partner or my child has suicided. So and I've spoken with people who've had the experience of, as they come along to the group and they say this and they say it again and then they say it again, that there's something about that which is really supports them to just be able to sit with the reality of that and begin to come to terms with that.
At our group, we generally have a cup of tea and a bicky and a bit of a chat beforehand. If somebody new is there, I will once again go over, this is how the group's going to run, and reassure them that they will not need to contribute if they don't feel like it, but equally can do if they want. Once we get inside, we do an introduction about group, how things run in that morning. We light a candle, which is a really important way for people to really focus on their loved one, and that's really powerful and an important way to start. And then we go around the room and talk about what's top of mind. One of the things I always try and encourage people to do, which is kind of along your lines, Rose, is to actually mention the name of their loved one.
Yeah, before the start of our meetings, we'll light that candle, because the candle, just that significance of the people we've lost, and it's just keeps them there in the room with us as well. And people find that, you know, comforting.
Definitely.
Yeah. And we set up in the kitchen area, you know, just for people to come and make their own cup of tea when they arrive, and that's fine. Some people can't make it exactly on the start time, so that's when they arrive.
Yeah, usually for our meetings, I'll start off with a karakia and then introduce everyone who's in the room and any new people that come in. let them know, yeah, what it is we do and how we are there to support each other. You know, if you don't feel like you're ready to say anything yet, it's okay. You know, the more you come, the more comfortable you'll get.
Sometimes I'll ask new people if they could come just like 15 minutes earlier and meet with them so that we can kind of do a bit of that stuff before other people get there.
I sometimes encourage people to bring a support person so that when they leave, they feel safer and they can offload some of the issues that have come up. Because when you hear other people's grief and you're kind of talking about your own grief, it feels a bit rough to suddenly then go out into the real world. What I've found too is that other life events suddenly that once may have been quite easy to deal with became really complex when you are compounding your suicide grief with worries in the workplace, a relationship that might be ending, all these other associated things as a result of the suicide that are common but a really good way for people to kind of talk about and for others to then kind of draw on their own experience, which then kind of can normalise it for that person. Sometimes somebody will ask me, oh, how should I do something? And I'll just throw it back to the group. And that's part of the facilitation as well, is to get the group to answer.
And it's good to get a variety of responses to those questions from everyone in the group. You know, it's good.